Welcome back to our station. So in this video, we are going to do a pre-analysis of the BWF Sudirman Cup Finals 2025, which is going to take place in Xiamen, China, next week. Yeah, maybe this Sunday. Yeah, until the next week. So you can see that this is a snapshot of the history of the achievement of all the nations. What you can see clearly here is that there are only three nations who have lifted the title before, namely Indonesia, which is at the very first edition. I think we have already talked about this in our analysis of the 2023 Sudirman Cup. You can take a look right up there. So Indonesia was the champion of the very first edition. In fact, Sudirman is actually coming from Indonesia, the naming of the championship. Then we have South Korea, China, South Korea, China all the way, South Korea, China all the way, up to the year 2023, which is the previous edition. So meaning to say China is the defending champion. So in terms of the number of titles, you can see China is well ahead of the others with 13 titles up to date, and Korea has 4, while Indonesia has 1. So this goes on to say that they are definitely still among the clear favorites to lift this title again. Well, let's see. In Group A, we have Algeria, China, Hong Kong, China, and Thailand. And what I have shown here is actually, if you look at the table, it's actually the winning percentage of the top player in each country. Of course, there will be a little bit of plus minus differences because at the date that I have collected this data, it might not be the most recent, right? So, but it doesn't run that much. So we can see that in terms of the men's singles, we do see China and Thailand to be having strong players. Even Hong Kong, China is not too bad with Lee Chuk Yu and Angus Nkalong. Over the women's singles, China is definitely superior. You can see the likes of Chen Yufei, Wang Zi, Han Yue to spearhead their challenge to secure the points. So definitely not surprising for them to have the highest winning percentage in this category. In the men's doubles, China is again well ahead of the others. In fact, men's doubles category is where Hong Kong is the weakest, and Thailand is also not as strong because they have to make a decision whether to field a Dechapol in mixed doubles only or mixed doubles and men's doubles, right? But anyway, it remains to be seen. And then in the women's doubles, China is again the dominant ones, with Thailand a very distant second. In fact, the strongest is definitely the Imsat sisters of Benyaka and Muntakan, with the retirement of their more senior pair, I think last year. So again, China is going to be the strongest, and in mixed doubles, yet again, China is having a 79% winning percentage of the top mixed doubles pair. So as compared to Thailand, now interestingly, in this lineup for Thailand, we do see the return of Sub-Siri Theratanachai. So there is a very high possibility that she'll be paired with Dechapol again for mixed doubles instead of Dechapol and Supisara. So that is something for us to look up for. Now, at the end of the day, my pick for this Group A is still China to be the champion of this group, and Thailand will be the runners-up. Simply because if we look at the number of categories that they have a higher chance to score points, China can definitely score points in all categories. Men's singles might be a little bit lower in terms of winning percentage, but even if you look at the head-to-head record between Shi Yuqi and Kun Lavut, it is pretty tight. So it's going to be 50-50. In the women's singles, China is definitely the strongest, followed by Thailand, with the likes of Ratchanok Intanon, Supanida, and also Ponpawi Chochuwong. So that puts them in the second, a far second, in fact, in terms of the strength, and Hong Kong only has a very young player of Happy Low to actually spearhead their challenge, and it's very unlikely for Hong Kong to score any point in the women's singles category. Similarly, in the men's doubles and in the women's doubles, they do have a stronger pair now, um, under the guidance of the Malaysian coach Tan Bin Chin. So watch out for them. Don't be fooled by the winning percentage, which is a little bit lower compared to the other two stronger teams. And in mixed doubles, it is going to be quite a tight contest, with the return of Sei Ying so um, who was just crowned the Asian champion 2 or 3 weeks ago, with Tang Chunman, of course. So the table at the bottom, you can see here, men's singles, China and Thailand would be 50-50 if they clash. In the women's singles, very likely China will score the point. Men's doubles, Liang Weikeng and Wang Chang would be giving the edge to China. Women's doubles as well, China has too many strong pairs to choose from, spoiled for choices. Liu Shengchu or Tan Ning, Chen Qingchen or and Jia Yifan, right? They also have like Zhang Chuxian to be paired as well, so definitely a powerhouse, as opposed to Thailand, who only has the Amsat sisters to be relied upon. And in the mixed doubles, if you ask me, the clash between China and Thailand, it could be 50-50, right? So overall, what you can see, China is the clear favorite. Thailand also the clear favorite for the runners-up. With Hong Kong, a small chance of edging against Thailand. That may happen if they could win the men's singles match, the women's doubles, and probably the mixed doubles match, because their strength in the women's singles and men's doubles is just too far behind Thailand. In the Group B, we have Canada, Chinese Taipei, Czech Republic, and Korea. And the clear favorite is definitely Korea. You can see that Korea is strong, is in fact very strong in four categories, except for the men's singles as always. And in fact, if they are to clash with Chinese Taipei, you can see that the only sector that Chinese Taipei can actually snatch a point would be through Lin Chunyi or Chu Tianchen, because Korea definitely traditionally has a rather weak men's singles department. But look at women's singles, we have An Se-yong, who is 99% surely will secure the point for them. Men's doubles, they are spoiled for choices. They can just mix and match any of their male players, of the men's players, to form strong and formidable doubles, such as Kim Won-ho and Seo Seung-jae, Kang Min-hyuk and Ki Dong-ju, right? They also have like Kim Won-ho and Na Sung-seong, so they are definitely spoiled for choices. And as opposed to Chinese Taipei, well, they do have a decent pair in the name of Li Zhehui and Yang Po Swan. But unlikely we will see Yang Po Swan playing in two categories. I'm not sure about it, but very unlikely, I think. And they have a second, which means that they may have the Wang Qilin and Chu to take up the role, right? And in the women's doubles, definitely Korea is far ahead with the likes of Behana and Lee So-hee, Kim Hae-jung and Kong Hee-yong. So again, they also have Jong Na-eun to play a scratch pair, right? In the mixed doubles as well, Chinese Taipei traditionally does not have a very strong pair. Their strongest it will be Yang Po Swan and Hu Ling Fang, but it would be quite difficult for them to snatch a point from. It could be Lee Jong-min, the 18 years old sensation from Korea, pairing with the more experienced Che Yu-jung, or it could be Seo Sung-jae and Che Yu-jung, or it could be Kim Won-ho and Jong Na-eun, or it could be anyone. So Korea is definitely the doubles powerhouse. So they are definitely going to snatch this point from Chinese Taipei. So it will be 4-1 for Korea to top the group when faced against Chinese Taipei. Canada and Czech unfortunately may not have the depth of the squad to mount a serious challenge against the top two. In Group C, again we see clear favorites with Japan, the clear champion. I would say, followed by Malaysia, the clear runners-up. Simply because France are not sending their top guns. They have left out the Popov brothers. Um, they have left out Alex Lanier. They have left out Tom Gikel and Delvin Delru. So and they are also fielding a very inexperienced team of players. So with that situation that we have now, that gives Malaysia a huge sign of relief actually. Now, if we look at the clash between Japan and Malaysia, in the men's category, we see Kodai Naraka or Koki Watanabe having the upper hand against the top men's singles player from Malaysia, like Lee Leong Junhao, but it could also be Justin Ho. We are not too sure. But regardless, Japan would definitely have the advantage over Malaysia, especially if they feel a strong and aggressive player like Koki Watanabe, who can definitely have the edge over a very slow starter of in name of Leong Junhao. So 1-0 to Japan if they clash. And then in the women's singles, it is again 2-0 for Japan. They have two stronger player in this category, Tomoka Miyazaki, or they can choose Akane Yamaguchi against Gojin from Malaysia. In the men's doubles category, it's a little bit balanced in this category, but I would say Malaysia has the slightest of edge with Takuro Hoki and Yugo Kobayashi still a little bit rusty in their challenge in the Asian Championship recently, so still a little bit rusty. And they also have other players such as Kenya Mitsuhashi and others, but I think they would still feel their strongest men's doubles, Hoki and Kobayashi, who actually has a very healthy head-to-head record against Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik, and pretty balanced head-to-head against Norizuddin and Gozafei. But judging from the recent momentum, I am going to give this point to Malaysia, right? Simply because we have the newly crowned Asian champion, Chia and So, and we also have the world number two of Norizuddin and Gozafei. So Malaysia has the advantage here. In the women's doubles category, we have Nami Masuyama, Cherushida. Interestingly, I think Japan has fielded much more female players than the male players. So I think they have like 12 or 13 women players compared to 7 or 8 men players. So that shows how strong is the women's department in Japan. So, and if you look at the head-to-head between Nami Masuyama and Cherushida against Polly and Tina, I think it's like 10-1 or 11-1. So it will be heavily stacked against the Malaysian doubles. So, and if you do not have, if Japan wants to have a second option, they do have it in the names of in the likes of Yuki Fukushima and Mayu Matsumoto, or they also have Arisa Higashino and even Rin Iwanaga and Ki Nakanishi. So they are spoiled for choices. In fact, the men's and the mixed doubles is going to be yet another tightly contested category, but they do have like strong. I think the Asian Championship silver medalist Hiroki Midorikawa and Natsu Saito. They can have also Arisa Higashino to be playing a scratch pad, but against Malaysia, I do believe Malaysia has the slightest of edge. Whether they are fielding Goh Sun Huat or like Siobhan Jamie Lai or Chen Tangzhen and Ho Yimei, I do believe Malaysia has the slightest of edge. So it will be a tight 3-2 win for Japan. in their clash in Group C. Now, overall in Group D, well, Group D is originally the group of death, and but the recent happenings whereby India has lost their top men's doubles category, Chirag Shetty and Satvik Rankireddy, who has to be withdrawn from this tournament due to illness. So that has really significantly dampened their challenge in Sudirman's Cup. Now, if you look at the winning percentage, now of course in this group you have why originally we call it as a group of death is because we have Denmark, we have India, and we have Indonesia in the same group. England is very highly unlikely to make it past the group stage, but Denmark, India, and Indonesia, it's definitely quite balanced among these three teams. Now, if you look at the men's singles category, the three top singles in Denmark, we have Anders Andersen. India, they can choose between Laksha Sen or HS Pranoy. And Indonesia, they have Jonathan Christie. Now, in terms of their clashes and their head-to-heads, with taking that into consideration and also the winning percentage, Denmark has the upper hand, and followed by Indonesia. Well, they have a slightly lower winning percentage than India, but in terms of the head-to-head record between Jonathan Christie and Laksha Sen, I think Indonesia is likely to be the second strongest in this sector. Over in the women's singles category, PV Sindhu has the upper hand against like Mia Bichfeld and any Indonesian players. But don't forget Indonesia with the name of Putri Kusuma Wadani. She is really a strong player, quite a decent player. So it is not surprising if she can upset PV Sindhu. And of course, recently there is also news of uncertainties whereby Gregoria Mariska Tunjung may not be fielded by Indonesia due to injury or whatnot. So in the women's singles category, if we were to rank it, Denmark, India would be the strongest, followed by Indonesia and Denmark. In the men's doubles category, Denmark and Indonesia will be quite balanced in terms of the tip of the scale. Denmark, of course, they will be relying on their old timers, on their seasoners, Anders and Kim, or they could also be banking on their second men's doubles. So it's going to be quite pretty tight. We all know that men's doubles category is definitely going to be pretty competitive. But in terms of the winning percentage, Indonesia has a higher rate, and Indonesia also has more choices because they do have like three top 10 pairs in the world, right? They can choose between Alfian and Adianto, or Daniel Martin and Shoaibul Fikri, or Bagas Maulana and Leo Canando. So Denmark, Indonesia, it will be a 50-50 battle, but India with the loss of Satvik and Chirag is going to be the severe underdog. In the women's doubles category, I could not find the top Danish women's pairs in the lineup. I think Mai Saro and I forgot the name, but so that is pretty surprising. So which is why, and in fact, I couldn't find any regular top pair in the lineup. So that is why I've put two question marks over there. And that would definitely means that Denmark will not be a serious contender in this category. And India, they do have a very reliable pair in the name of Teresa Jolie and Gayatri Pulela Gopichan. And the contest between India and Indonesia in this category is going to be pretty tight, whereby Indonesia also has a decently strong pair, Febriana and Anna Prativi, or they can choose Lenny Tree and Siti Fadia Ramadanti. So it's going to be pretty tight, but if you look at the although the winning percentage is in favor of Indonesia, but I do think that on court, India may have the upper hand. And lastly, for the mixed doubles category, India is the weakest in this sector with Dhruv Kapila and Tanisha Crasto. But Indonesia on paper, and they have a lot of choices that they can make, whether they want to field Rehan or and Gloria, and or Dijan and Gloria, or Renov, Rivaldi and Mentari. They have choices, whereas Denmark will have a clear favorite, Jasper Toff and Emily. Now, on paper, the Danish may have a higher winning percentage, simply because probably they've played less matches, and most of the matches are in the European Championship. This is just what I'm suspecting. But anyway, if you look at all this taken into consideration, now originally with the Satwik and Chirag in the picture, I would pick India to be the runners-up. But with them out of the lineup, I think that Indonesia will still be the favorite to top this group, but Denmark would be the runners-up. So I think that would be my analysis. So thank you for watching. Please comment down below your thoughts.